Traction control will be abolished next year. What impact will it have?
Well, the first thing that happens is normally things like tyre wear reduce. And that sounds the opposite to what you would think. But remember, a traction control system, what it basically does is keep the tyre slipping at its optimum point all the time. A driver's not capable of doing that. So what it'll do is he'll overslip the tyre, and then he has to back off the throttle and then goes back to zero slip again. So he's constantly going between those two. So actually you end up with the tyre getting an easier time if there's no traction control. TC, it'll just sit there. In terms of the drivers, it'll be harder, but not as hard as what it was probably 10 years ago, because the engine power with the V8 is now around 750 horsepower. The tyres are very good, much better than what they used to be, just because of all the tyre wars that have been going on. So the compounds and everything have developed quite a lot. So it's quite easy for a driver. The cars are more probably power limited than grip limited, which means that it's easier for him to go on the throttle. But it will still reward drivers who are smooth. So I think that there's some guys out there that are, like Jenson Button, for example, very smooth on the throttle. He could potentially gain. There's some people that haven't even driven without traction control. Probably the longer you've been in Formula One, the worse it'll be, because people like Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg, they've come straight from GP2 where there is no traction control, so they haven't been driving with it for that long. I'm not sure whether you'll see a fundamental shake-up, but you'll probably see a few more mistakes in qualifying, a few more mistakes in the race. The way the electronics work now, from as soon as the driver comes off the brakes and he's at the apex of the corner, he literally just goes to 100% throttle, and the electronics drive the car out of the corner. So, you know, even Matt could do it. But
I'm pretty quick, actually.
But some figures in the paddock feel that, you know, the abolition of traction control will see us returning to wheel spin and opposite lock, but that's not really the case, is it?
No, because the way the tyres are designed, they're very peaky, which means they're very hard to drive in a very small window. And if they detune the tyres, they become easier to drive but slower. I mean, to be honest, with a single tyre supplier, as it is at the moment, Bridgestone are the only tyre company in Formula One. They could actually make tyres for Formula One where you could do that, but that's not the case at the moment. So I don't think you'll go. And the other thing is the aerodynamics of the car are so finely tuned. Sliding the cars around is not optimum for them.
There is another point about traction control, which is that we often see that the grandee journalists, let's say, or the grandees in Formula One, and perhaps grandee fans, if there's such a thing as that, probably your grandee fans, they often think that if you remove traction control, the skill of the driver will return completely, and the corollary of that being that there is no skill involved today, or less skill. It's not true, though, is it? One of the points, and I want to answer my question and see if you agree with my answer, really, first of all, and you'll probably tell me I'm wrong. But the hard bit of getting into a corner, of going around a corner, is braking and turning in. Once you've got to the apex, the exit is comparatively, I presume, easy. And that is the bit that traction control helps. So the hard bit, traction control, doesn't help that much.
Well, the only thing that, although we're saying there's a traction control ban, what's also been banned is engine braking systems and anti-lock braking systems. Formula One cars have anti-lock rear brakes. They don't have anything on the front because we're not allowed to have actuators there. But basically the driver can hit the brake pedal as hard as he wants, and it's almost, not impossible, but it's almost impossible for him to lock the rear wheels up. All of that also goes with traction control. So it'll probably have a bigger impact there. I agree with what you're saying 100%. The hardest, if you look at a fast driver and a slow driver, the fast drivers are fast into the corner, not on the exit. Most people can go fast from the apex to the exit. It's just getting the throttle down. The amount of trying to judge how much speed you can take into the corner and how much your reaction skills can cope with, that's the hard thing about driving Formula One or any racing car. So, yeah.
Do you, ladies and gentlemen, have a view about traction control? Hands up who is pleased that it's going. And hands up who doesn't care. and hands up who wants it to stay. There you are. That's a small minority. There you are. You gave us a good answer there. We understand your views.